Hey everybody, how are you? Um, First of all, if you are new here, I'm Patrick, and hi. I do these every Thursday at 1:30 Central, and I answer your questions live. And if you, for some reason, can't watch live, if you put your question in later, I'll answer it next week. And for example, I have a list of questions from last week, so I'm going to start with those. But if you have a question, you absolutely should jump in and ask it because here's the spot. We can talk about laundry, we can talk about home cleaning. I mean, we can really talk about anything you want, but that's what we're going to talk about. First one is how to get oil from your hands off. Well, hello, I'm glad you found me. How to get oil from your hand from somebody's hands off the wall. They like to put their hands on the wall to slip on their shoes. I've got to be honest with you. Not only do I know how to do this, I do this myself. I'm notorious for putting my hand on the wall when I slip my shoes on. So I totally get it. My wall is painted, and I spray vinegar on a terry cloth towel and put that on the wall. Most paint is scrubbable, and that is not too harsh. If it's wallpaper, you're going to have to handle it a little bit differently. But I find that vinegar on a towel is gentle enough to get it off, but it's strong enough to also work. So it's 50 vinegar, 50 water. I spray it on, and I kind of go from there. Hey, Nina. Next question. This is a really good question. What is oily soap? Oily soap, and this is for laundry, oily soap is a laundry stain remover that has a texture that is viscous. It's thick, like syrupy. It's thick and heavy. It has the texture of like liquid hand soap. You know, if you use liquid hand soap at your bathroom sink, it's that texture. It's thick, but it's generally made for laundry. If you don't know of one, the way to see it is start to turn the bottle and see, if it's watery or if it's thick. That's how you know. Thick, it's truly the texture that really matters in this case. I mean, obviously it matters because it needs to be a stain remover, but that texture helps hold the stain remover stay in place. Sometimes when they're too watery, it just kind of dissipates throughout the fabric and you don't get what you need. Will vinegar remove scale in the washing machine? I haven't tried it. I'm guessing yes, but you probably need to use a slightly stronger concentration. I might put in a couple of cups. I might put in the whole gallon and clean the washing machine with that. Someone pointed out to me that there are commercial cleaners for the washing machine and there are fabric softeners to make fabric soft. And I kind of want to be like, those things exist, but why would you want to use them? Christina, how do you get multiple rust stains out of your clothes? If they're really rough rust stains, meaning you know that rust rubbed onto that fabric, you can squeeze lemon on them and set them in the sun because the photosensitivity of the lemon will take it out. If they look rusty and they're not, I'll bet they're oxidation stains, and those will come out if you clean them with vinegar and water. Or I'm sorry, oxygen, bleach, and water. Oh my gosh, I sound like a broken record. I don't mean to. Oxygen, bleach, and water. All right, we're going to get this one, and I'm going to have to read it. McCrean granite countertop has a stain. It was caused by a plant fertilizer. Do you have any suggestion for removing the stain? Okay, here's the trick. Your plant fertilizer could be unique. Granite, the problem is it's porous. So what you want to do is you want to treat it with the most gentle thing you can think of. I'd probably start with oxygen bleach. I would saturate a towel with oxygen bleach and set that on it. Because it's so porous, you need to give it a little time to sink down in. I do know that there are granite cleaners that are pretty safe, like CLR. You might use that as well. Have very hard water and use washing soda. You says when we use 1/4 of a cup, do it. The box says 1 cup. Okay, this is a really good question. 1/4 of a cup is good. My water's hard-ish, and 1/4 of a cup is plenty. If your water is really, really hard, you might want to bump it up a little. I can't imagine you need a whole cup. That seems like a lot. Our washing machines don't use that much water anymore. I mean, I think a lot of the recommendations are from older washing machines that use a lot more water, and modern ones don't. Can I make my own sudsy ammonia? Oh my gosh, I also have tried to make sudsy ammonia. I've not been able to get it to work. What you can do if you cannot find sudsy ammonia, for some reason it's very hard to find in Pennsylvania. You can use a half a cup of ammonia, and you can take a small amount of soap flakes and dissolve them in hot water and sort of mix it together. It's kind of the same thing, but you have to make it in the moment. You have to make it and put it in the washing machine. You can't make it up in a bottle and save it. But that does work. Yeah, no, it's a tough thing to find. I often find it at farm stores, by the way, if that ever helps. Where does borax go in the washing machine? This is a really good question. We were just talking about washing soda. I like washing soda, but if you like borax, they kind of do the same job. Put them directly into the drum. It is my general experience that if you put them in the cup where the detergent and those things go, which, I don't use those at all, but some people do, I find that it doesn't break down enough and it doesn't dissolve enough. So I think put it right in the drum, because then it will break down and it will work in your machine. Okay. How many wool balls is optimal? I get this question all the time. It's really funny. I use 2 all the time, and I add a third one if I want to use the fragranced one. So I always use 2, and then I add a third one for fragrance. So like when I do my sheets, I have a ball for peppermint. I put a few drops of peppermint oil on that one, and I throw that one in, but I leave the other 2 in, the 2 blank ones in all the time. And I will tell you, I marked mine that gets the fragrance, so I know which one to take out, and I store it in a mason jar because it helps hold the fragrance from week to week. Okay. This was a comment, and I want to address it. This person is afraid an aluminum foil ball will start a fire. And I want to be really candid and really honest. Your oven or your dryer is like an oven. Okay, you can put aluminum foil in the oven. It's not like the microwave. It's like an oven. So you can safely put an aluminum foil ball in your dryer. Now, if you are somebody who leaves the sheets, like if the sheets dry in 30 minutes and you let them tumble for an hour, the aluminum foil ball can get hot and it can actually scorch. So the aluminum foil ball is completely safe as long as your clothes are not dry and continue to tumble in a hot dryer. So I just want to be very honest and very candid. Oh, this is really funny, and I want to bring this up too. And this comment, it actually relates to a comment. I'm going to go back in and comment for her. I did a video a couple of years ago where I washed an Hermes scarf. And people frequently say I ironed over the hem, and you're not supposed to do that. I did not iron over the hem. You are not supposed to iron over the hem if you wash a scarf, because this hem is hand rolled and you want that roll. My iron is a steam generating iron, and I steamed it. I ironed the scarf because I wanted that pretty flat finish, and then I steamed the hem so that it would look nice, but the iron was not touching the hem. But I just wanted to let you know. Hi, Patrick. You did show about a sticky letterman jackets, and I can't find a replay. Could you repeat for me? What I did, and this was on my TV show, which is not streaming at the moment. What I did is I treated it with vodka, and I used an orbital buffer, because if you do it by hand, it's going to take forever. I use an orbital buffer, and I buffed all of that waxy, oily off. And then I treated it with the product that they use for cars. It was a vinyl. It's a product for vinyl because the sleeves are vinyl. They're not actually leather. So you treat it for vinyl. You do have to repeat it. And I said this on the show. You do have to repeat it because that is actually the vinyl breaking down. So you're putting a finish over it to kind of restore it, but you do have to repeat it probably once or twice a season. But once you use the buffer and you take all of that, I'm going to call it goo, off. You won't have to do that, but you will have to repeat it with the Armor All or whatever you use. I have a Miele washing machine. How much soap flakes should I use? You should use less because your machine uses less. I would use about a tablespoon for the first month, and then I'd go to about a fourth a tablespoon after that, after the first month. Don't ever be sorry for all the questions. I love the questions. I love them. I love them. Don't ever be sorry for the questions. Okay. Speaking of which, I only have one more, but if you have more, you jump in and ask. The only other comment that I got, and it was a comment, was vinegar doesn't cut soap, it neutralizes soap. That is true. That is 100% true. I use the phrase cut because it cuts through, it breaks it down, which is really what happens. What happens is vinegar is acidic, soap is alkaline. When you bring an alkaline and acidic together, it neutralizes and it rinses out. That's the process. So I want to be honest. I do know, because he said, as an evangelist, you should know that. I do know that. But I say cuts through soap because that's an easier way to understand it, because it really breaks it down. Because, Dawn doesn't actually cut through grease. It neutralizes the grease, so it washes off. So just want to tell you the truth. Not wrong, laundry related, but could I use a good bourbon to make vanilla instead of vodka? Avis, you absolutely can, and it's delicious. And it's fun, or make vanilla. It's funny. I was just we just posted that again, because if you make vanilla now, you'll have it for Christmas. I use bourbon and make vanilla, and it makes the best chocolate chip cookies and chocolate fudge in the world. Bourbon is delicious with chocolate. It gives it that like caramelly edge. Use a medium priced bourbon. Don't use a really expensive bourbon, because the major flavor is going to be vanilla. The one thing you do want to use is if you have the choice between a higher proof and a lower proof, and sometimes that will matter. The higher proof will make the vanilla faster. The lower proof will take longer to steep. So that will matter a little bit, but don't cut the ends off the beans. Use them whole, because when you go to make ice cream next summer, Avis, those vanilla beans will make the best ice cream ever in the whole world. Hey, Kristen. Yeah, Avis, I'm glad you saw it. But yeah, it totally works with bourbon. I'm trying to think what I used. I think I used, in fact, I know what I used. I used Maker's Mark. So it's good, but I didn't use like Pappy. So good bourbon, because really the primary flavor is going to be vanilla. I will tell you a really funny story before we wrap up. Nancy's my stepmother. You know that. Her mom made bourbon balls, and they were so good. I loved them. I mean, I think I'd had them before, but hers were so good. And in fact, the recipe is I think it's in Laundry Love. And they're delicious, because the way she made them, most people chop the nuts up and put them in them, and she put the nut on top, and I liked it because it made a creamy center. Anyway, we started carrying them for the store. And I always said, these are almost as good as Roberta's. Like, they're the best I've ever seen store-bought. They were almost as good. I did say Maker's Mark. They were almost as good, and they were Woodford Reserve bourbon balls. And I realized the difference was she used different bourbon. She didn't use Woodford. And so the Woodford ones were sweeter, and hers were spicier because she used a spicier bourbon. So it's that undernote that works. But yep, it makes delicious. And if you do it, you will have it. It'll be done about Thanksgiving. So it'll be good to go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're 15 minutes is up, and I try to keep it at 15 minutes. I will see you next week. If for some reason you're watching this later and you have a question, I'm going to answer really fast. Jennifer, how do you clean the inside of Birkenstocks? You take a brush and some soap, and you scrub them, and then you give them a quick rinse and let them dry in the sun, or you can let them dry in the shade. They'll just dry faster in the sun. Okay. If you're watching this later and you want to ask a question, if you put it in the comments down below, I will answer it next week. Everybody, thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in every week. I love doing this, so I love that you like to come along.